So I'm recording this on Friday night, and if there's a chance the Bucks have been forced into a Game 6 by Orlando, then apologies to the Magic. So the Heat and the Bucks. Does Miami have a chance to pull off the upset? Well, before the restart, I said that I didn't think Miami was that good, but then they shortened their rotation, and they took Myers Leonard out, and they put Crowder or Iguodala or Hero or Robinson, whoever you want to view as the Leonard replacement. They put that guy in there, and suddenly they're more athletic, they're more switchy, the spacing is better, and suddenly I like them a lot more. And I think their ability to throw a bunch of guys out there with different skill sets is really going to be huge against the Bucks, because what Milwaukee loves to do, of course they give up threes, we know this, but they love to leave open guys who are just kind of okay, aka Jay Crowder, Iguodala. Well, if you think that Crowder's lack of shooting is killing you, you can throw in Tyler Hero, you can throw in Duncan Robinson. I mean, Dragic, Jimmy, Hero, and Robinson, it's pretty tough to find a guy to leave open there. You know what I mean? Now, it's not going to be those four all the time, and sometimes Crowder's going to be making them, and sometimes Iguodala's going to be making them, and whatever else, but that's the first thing, is that Miami's just got a lot of options. You know, Olynyk could be a bit of a wild card in this series. I think he could look bad in some games and good in other ones, which that's kind of the Kelly Olynyk special. But, I mean, if Olynyk has like a 5 for 9 from 3 game because the Bucks are daring him to shoot, that could be big. Now, I do want to talk about Bam as well, because Bam, of course, he operates a lot on the perimeter. He brings the ball up floor. He does a lot of stuff at the elbow to cutters inside and stuff like that, throwing them the ball, obviously. And the Bucks are going to dare him to shoot. That's what I'm going to imagine. The thing with Bam is maybe he's not going to take the jumper every time, but he's good enough off the dribble to where if you give him the lane, he will take it. And if you dare him to be a passer, he's going to make the right pass. So it's going to be very interesting to see how the Bucks choose to deal with that. Because to me, when Bam is making all of his passes and he's able to operate pretty comfortably like that, then I think Miami is very tough to beat. I think at the times when the Bucks will dare him to take some threes or they sag off him a little bit, besides the fact that he can take them off the dribble, and by them I mainly mean Brook Lopez, although I think Giannis at center, it might have to come out sometimes in this postseason, and this might be the first time where the Bucks really have to go to it. But anyway, if they dare Bam to shoot, I think besides taking him off the dribble, he could also run some handoff plays for kind of anybody, whether it's Jimmy or Dragic or Hero or Robinson, and probably get one of those guys a good look. So the Bucks are going to have to care about Bam. This is not a center who they can just kind of ignore because he can't shoot, and even then Bam's mid-range has been good this season. Well, I should say mainly from about like 15 feet. His long twos have been bad, although they were better last year, for whatever that's all worth. By all accounts, Bam can shoot threes, but he hasn't done it in the NBA yet, and I'm not really expecting him to start chucking them up in this series against the Milwaukee Bucks. So, yeah, I mean, I mentioned the Giannis at center thing, and that, I guess, ties into just how are the Bucks going to defend Miami, or does Miami have a chance of being successful against the Bucks offense, besides everything I just said about Bam? Well, you know, Miami, they do like their pick and rolls, but oftentimes it follows some sort of off-ball action, although Dragic has been running more lately. Dragic has been kind of coming alive here a bit. We'll see if Bledsoe can handle him one-on-one sometimes, but with just Miami's offense, they do like to run the off-ball stuff, the stuff that the Magic gave the Bucks problems for at least little stretches of their round one series. And I'm guessing that Miami might be able to get some open looks, because the Bucks, they don't switch all the time. They might be forced to switch more, but, you know, it's been a conversation just how lenient is Coach Bud to go away from what got him there in certain playoff series. So we'll see what they want to do. Are they content with Jimmy's coming off the ball, Duncan Robinson sets a screen for him, and they just switch it, and they don't care about who's now defending who? Because if you don't switch that, and you're asking for more conventional defense, there's a chance that Miami shooters are going to get open. And, before this, I did say that I didn't trust Duncan Robinson to be great in a playoff series, and he was good against the Pacers. They didn't have a lot of answers for him. I think Milwaukee is better equipped for that, whether it's fighting around screens or if they just want to switch. They got good defensive bodies for all that type of stuff. So we'll just have to see what they want to do. I think Miami can definitely get open on the Bucks' defense. I do trust Spoelstra to find some sets that are going to work. I trust him to have these guys moving off ball. And I trust him to be able to put Bam in certain positions that is going to make Milwaukee have to commit to him more than they really want to because he's not a three-point shooter. Now, as far as whether Miami has the high-end scoring to still win this thing, that's a bit more of a question. Dragic, he averaged 22 against the Pacers, doing a little bit more on pick and rolls. Is he going to make enough pull-up jumpers? Because Miami's still going to run some pick and roll, and we know what Milwaukee wants to do on those. So, are you going to make those pull-ups and those floaters? Are you going to force them to foul you enough times? I think it's also going to be interesting to see who Giannis is defending in this series, because if Giannis is on Crowder, that's kind of scary, because at that point he can kind of just do whatever he wants. And if you're allowing Giannis to free roam, then you might not score a single point. So I'm guessing you just have to force the Bucks to respect you from out there, which might just mean rotation changes as opposed to just hoping Jay Crowder makes a shot or two. Same thing can be said for Iguodala and whoever else. Now, if we talk about Jimmy Butler specifically, how much success can Jimmy have in this? I mentioned a second ago the idea of how much high-end scoring does Miami have, and in a lot of ways I'm looking at Jimmy. He averaged 20 a game this year, wasn't doing much from three. I think he doesn't want to be a number one option. I think he really loves being that playmaker guy who still happened to lead the team in points, but he's not a shoot-first guy all the time, right? He might have to tap into that a little bit more in this series, because I wouldn't be shocked if there were times when Miami, through all of their ball movement and all that nice stuff, just kind of really needs a bucket, or they have some stretches where it doesn't look great and they're missing a couple more threes than they'd really like to, and the Bucks defense is overwhelming them a little bit. And is Jimmy going to be able to get the game back on track in those situations? I don't know, but I am confident with one thing. I think when the Bucks do their drop coverage against Jimmy, he's going to get fouled off of it. I don't think this is going to be one of those things where they bait him into taking a bunch of mid-rangers and floaters. I think Jimmy will just keep going to the rim, and he doesn't care if Brook Lopez is there or if it's Giannis or whoever. I think Jimmy's just going to invite that contact. He's shot 1 million free throws this season, and I think he's going to maintain some of that. He attempted, 9 free throws a game this year? It's a lot of free throws, man. And he shoots in the mid-80s on them, so I do expect him to be able to break some of the Bucks' defense just by simply getting fouled. In terms of Jimmy isolations, well, I guess the first question is, who would the Bucks actually have on Jimmy? I mentioned earlier, do they want to put Giannis on Jimmy, or do they want to put Giannis on Crowder and allow Giannis to free roam a little bit more? I don't totally know the answer. If I was them, I would start with Giannis on Crowder, and then if I needed to put Giannis on Jimmy, I would do it. So I'm just kind of assuming that it's going to be Middleton on Jimmy. I think it's pretty standard. It's Bledsoe on Dragic, it's Wesley Matthews on Duncan Robinson, Chris Middleton on Jimmy. Although I will say, I'll get back to the Jimmy Middleton matchup real quick. I think Miami could shuffle their starting five a bit this series. Against the Pacers, Robinson started, but I wouldn't be shocked if Hero ended up starting at a certain point. But anyway, and also Kendrick Nunn just apparently out of the rotation. I don't know what to make of that. So, if we think about Middleton and Jimmy, I think Jimmy can beat Middleton one-on-one. I don't think Middleton will be able to just stay in front of him all day. And I think that's a great way of going at the Bucks defense. It's tough because, isolations, we're so programmed to believe that it's not always the most efficient offense, but the Bucks defense is fantastic at defending pick and rolls. But if you're just beating a guy in an ISO, it's tough for any defense to have a game plan for that. There's going to be more scrambling. There's going to have to be more improvisation, and the Bucks defenders are smart, but I think we would all agree that when it comes to improv defense, they're not what the Raptors are, right? So I would trust that if Jimmy can beat Middleton, the Heat can get some open shots off of that. Now again, if Bam is standing in various spots, they're going to help off of him, and we'll have to see what he does off of that. Maybe not even a contest, but a little bit of a closeout, but more of an egging him on to shoot sort of thing, I guess. So in other words, I think Miami can score against the Bucks, but I do still fear that they don't have a 30-point guy or whatever, which maybe is what you need to really score against Milwaukee like that. But of course, we talk about how Miami can defend the Bucks. So here's the thing with the Bucks, and I'm stealing this one from Zach Lowe. They look like a great three-point shooting team, but when you dive into the individual shooting numbers, they're like a tick overrated when it comes to killing you from outside. Bledsoe's average, Brook Lopez has been below average this season, Giannis is Giannis, and Wesley Matthews is whatever. Middleton is the only really good shooter in their starting five. Now, when they start going to the bench, there's potential lineups they can put out there with a lot of shooting. George Hill, Dante DiVincenzo, who I think could end up playing a big role in this series. Marvin Williams, maybe Ilyasova, but he's also the slowest player in the NBA. And I think if you put Giannis at center, then this unlocks a lot more of these lineups. Now, I should say that Brook Lopez was better from three against the Magic, so for what that's worth. And also, DiVincenzo didn't play much against the Magic, so maybe he won't play that big of a role in the series, I don't know. But anyway, if we talk about Miami's defense, throughout the season, they were actually not that great defensively. They were like 12th in defensive rating. But again, I like their team now more because they're more athletic and all that stuff I mentioned earlier, right? So the obvious thing is how the hell they slow down Giannis. Well, the Bam-Giannis matchup has been talked about a bit. Is Bam just going to be on Giannis, period? Potentially. The question then becomes who defends Brook Lopez, and will the Bucks post up Lopez on that guy? They didn't do that at all last year. I think they've done it a little bit more this year. Just looking at the numbers. So last season, Brook Lopez averaged 1 post-up a game or 0.5 a game in the playoffs. This year it was 2 a game, which is still not that much, but it is still double for what it's worth. So are the Heat going to be able to get away with putting Crowder on Lopez or Iguodala on Lopez or whoever? Are the Bucks going to make him pay by posting Lopez up or going for offensive rebounds or running a Giannis Lopez pick and roll and forcing that guy to have to deal with Giannis? I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what they want to do there. But if Miami can survive the other stuff by having Bam stick to Giannis, then I think that makes this series very, very interesting. Now, I don't want to imply that Bam would shut down Giannis like that, but he could force a couple extra misses. He could have some great contests at the rim, and instead of Giannis scoring like 33 in a game, maybe Bam holds him to 25 on pretty good but not great efficiency, and that could be the difference in this thing. I think it's going to be interesting to see how much Jimmy defends Giannis as well. I don't think he's going to defend him all the time, because you can't ask Jimmy to be your leading shot taker, primary ball handler, and Giannis defender, because he's going to be dead by game 2. So we'll just see how Spoelstra wants to balance all that. Is this the Andre Iguodala comes alive series? I mean, this is the whole thing with Iguodala, right? We said it for years. Yeah, whatever, regular season Iguodala, it's whatever. He'll turn it on defensively when he needs to. Well, it's time to turn it on defensively. So, is he going to be able to turn the clock back? Can he defend Giannis like that anyway? I mean, Iguodala's a strong guy. Giannis is a freight train. So I don't know there. I do think Iguodala could have some success on Middleton, and that's another thing. See, if Miami can have some possessions with Bam on Giannis, and other times they can swarm on Giannis and dare him to be a passer, because I still think you can have success doing that. And then you have Jimmy chip in with some possessions on him, and then you have Iguodala doing a good job on Middleton, and sometimes Jimmy's going to be on Middleton, and then maybe you get fortunate with Bledsoe either having another Eric Bledsoe moment, or he's just simply not making his threes because he's not that great of a shooter anyway. Then I think this becomes real, where Miami really has a chance here. But I think I just kind of implied it there. It's not going to be one thing. Like, I don't think we're going to be looking at this series saying, wow, Bam just shut down Giannis, or Jimmy shut down Giannis. It's going to have to be a team effort where, I mean, it's the classic, like, superstar defense. You bring the guy from the opposite corner over and you play a little bit of zone defense on the one dude who's now open, so you have, like, one guy defending the corner as well as the elbow out to three, if you will. It's going to be all that type of stuff, and Spoelstra knows how to coach that, and we'll just see. The Raptors had success doing that against the Bucks in the previous conference finals. They also had Kawhi going nuts, and we're going to have to see if Miami gets that sort of performance out of Jimmy. You'd think it would be him, but there's also a chance that, like, maybe one game Duncan Robinson goes nuts, another game Hero goes nuts. Should be said about Tyler Hero. His irrational confidence could end up being a huge asset in this series. I guess I want to talk a little bit more about Giannis at center, or at least I would like to talk more about it, but I don't know how much Bud's going to go to it, so I don't want to waste my time if we don't see it at all, and I'm not confident we're going to see it like that, but maybe we will. I mean, it gives up size, and the Bucks, they really, really love their size, but you know, you go Giannis at center, you can put 4 shooters around him, and it's pretty obvious as to why that could be tough to deal with. It's also potentially a switch everything lineup, but I don't think Bud wants to do that. I did mention Chris Middleton earlier. I'm going to mention him now. Middleton has to show up in this series. He can't be putting up any more 2-point performances like he did against the Magic. Like, what the hell was that? And, you know, the Bucks, they do their off-ball stuff to get him some open shots. But there's going to be times, and we've seen it, where sometimes the Bucks offense in the half court slows down to kind of an alarming rate, where it turns into a Middleton ISO or something, which freaks me out a little bit. And you figure, you know, sometimes it'll be Jimmy, sometimes it'll be Iguodala, sometimes it'll be Crowder, who's ever on Middleton. I don't take your pick of who it would be, right? If Miami can slow down Middleton, and I don't think it takes a team effort to slow him down. I think if you put one good defender on him, you can have a lot of success. And that's kind of disrespectful to Chris Middleton, but listen, man, we have not seen him go nuts in the postseason. What did he average against the Raptors? 13 points? Like, is he that guy or isn't he? We're going to find out right now, I think. Okay, now I should say, he did go nuts in that one series against the Celtics where he legitimately shot like 70% from the field. I don't know what that was, but I'm going to assume that doesn't happen again. You know, man, if he's not good, if he's not able to create some offense for himself, and I mean, the Bucks can help him out as much as they want with the off-ball stuff and everything, but he's still going to have to take it off the dribble. He's still going to have to finish through contact or whatever, you know, hit some pull-ups, that sort of thing. And he's going to have all those Miami defenders swiping at him and being physical because you're allowed a little bit more in the postseason. We just got to see if he's built for this, man. I mean, they gave him the money. Bleacher Report said he's the 10th best player in the NBA. Let's see it. I mean, I mentioned Iguodala earlier on Giannis. I'm just saying, man, what if Iguodala starts looking like he was 4 years ago and Chris Middleton's suddenly in an oh crap situation? So anyway, let me predict this thing. I'm going to go Bucks. I think Miami can definitely do some things to make them uncomfortable. But I still fear that Miami doesn't have that one great shot maker who can just make like pull-up threes or mid-rangers all day, even if I think Jimmy's going to be good and shoot a lot of free throws. And also with the Bucks, they have so many guys who you can see replacing one of the starters if they're not playing well, you know? Like if Bledsoe's not good, you get George Hill in there. If Wesley Matthews isn't good, you go with DiVincenzo. If Lopez, for whatever reason, is having a tough time, you can go to Giannis at center. I mean, there really isn't one for Middleton, but I don't know, man. The Bucks should win this series. Like, there's a lot of reason for excitement if you want to go there about Miami, but let's be honest. The Bucks are the better team. They should win this series. And whatever weird stuff Eric Spoelstra throws at them, they should be able to figure it out.